Bro, you make way too many math videos. Please make a video on grammar ASAP or I'm cooked. You know what? Bet. I got you. So guys, this is the only SAT grammar guide you need for a 1600 presented by PrepHub and somebody who actually got a 1600 on their SAT. And by the way, I based this entire video off of Erica Meltzer's grammar textbook and her article is in the description. Rule number 1. Periods equal semicolons. And there's two uses for them. First, between two complete sentences. So, I am amazing. I attract all the huzz. Those are two independent clauses. I'm separating them with a period. I could do the same with a semicolon. PrepHub is super cool. It almost has 2,500 subscribers. I could have used a period there as well. The only difference is that this I would be uppercase. The other use is before conjunctive adverbs, such as however, therefore, or moreover, at the beginning of a clause. Now, when I took the SAT, I didn't even know what conjunctive adverbs were, so it's not as much about memorizing the rules, more about memorizing these actual examples of the rules in play. So PrepHub is a small channel. However, it has lots of useful content. PrepHub is a good channel. Therefore, it has lots of useful content. So these kind of words, however, therefore, moreover, it almost seems like a transition word, but really they're called conjunctive adverbs. Rather than memorizing what they're called, memorize how you can use them. All right, let's do a practice question using the rule that we just learned. The haiku-like poems of Thomas Tranströmer, which present nature and dream-influenced images in crisp, spare language, have earned the Swedish poet praise from leading contemporary blank, them Nigerian-American essayist and novelist Teju Cole, who has written that Tranströmer's work contains a luminous simplicity. Now, here's the thing. When I was reading through this, I had a pause at this point, which means it's got to be either a comma, period, or semicolon. And those are all answer choices. But we can cross out B because there's no punctuation in between. Now, how do we decide between A, C, and D? Well, here's the trick. We just learned that periods are equal to semicolons. Therefore, answer choice A and answer choice C are equal to each other. They mean the same thing. And the SAT is an objective test. So they're not going to test you on knowing when it sounds better to use a semicolon or when it sounds better to use a period. They're just testing on what is grammatically correct. And in this case, if A was grammatically correct, C would also be grammatically correct, which would mean both answer choices are correct. But we know that every question only has one correct answer choice, which means we can cross both A and C out. And since we already crossed B out, that leaves us with D, the answer choice with a comma. We can check that, and it's correct. Now, let's look at rule number 2. Colons are equal to dashes, and there's two uses for them. Use A is before a list, but after a complete sentence. So, London is home to a variety of, museums, castles, and shops. We have a list here, but this is incorrect because the colon is coming after a dependent clause rather than coming after a complete sentence. PrepHub is home to a wide variety of SAT videos such as math, grammar, and reading. So this again is a colon that's coming after a dependent clause. How do we know it's dependent? Well, look at what's bolded, a variety of, such as. That makes it dependent because let's say we took the colon and everything after it out. London is home to a variety of. Would that be an independent sentence? No. PrepHub is home to a wide variety of SAT videos such as. No, that wouldn't be an independent sentence. That's why these are incorrect. Now let's look at some correct examples. PrepHub students often spend their time in 3 main types of videos. Is that an independent sentence? Yes, it is. I could leave it right there. Or, math, reading, and writing. PrepHub students often spend their time in 3 main types of videos. Math, reading, and writing. So these are coming after independent sentences that could stand alone. That's why they work. Now let's take a look at use B for colons and dashes, which is before an explanation, but it still needs to be after a complete sentence. When I stepped into class, all the girls were shocked. Every single female immediately looked at me, hoping I would sit with them. Great sentence right here. Obviously, before the colon, this is an independent sentence. When I stepped into class, all the girls were shocked. That's an independent sentence, and that's obviously a true sentence, right? But the colon afterwards gives you an explanation for this sentence right here. When the Manchus took control of China, the Great Wall lost its protective purpose. That's an independent sentence, but what if I want to explain why it lost its protective purpose? Well then, The Chinese Empire now extended well north of the wall, and its new enemies came from across the sea. That's a good explanation. All right, now let's do another practice question using what we just learned. In a 2023 study, researchers documented a fascinating behavior in the aquatic plant Alodia densa. When exposed to low levels of light, the plant's blank, which in this case is chloroplasts, the cellular organs that generate energy from light, reshuffled to form a tightly packed glass-like surface ideal for collecting more light. So when we have this pause right here, and then we're saying the plant's what? The plant's chloroplasts. So basically we can understand here, we're explaining what the plant's chloroplasts are, which is the cellular organs that generate energy from light. And then we have a dash. So if we're ending an explanation with a dash, we also need to start it with the same punctuation, which is also going to be a dash. And that is why D is the correct answer. And it shows a dash being used how we just said, which is for an explanation. Let's look at rule number 3, comma plus fanboys. This rule says that when you use comma plus fanboys, it's equivalent to a period, which is equivalent to a semicolon. Well, what this means is that if you use comma plus fanboys, you can separate two independent clauses. So, PrepHub is a very good YouTube channel. That's an independent sentence. It could stand alone, right? But some people don't like it. So what I could have said is PrepHub is a very good YouTube channel. Some people don't like it. And I could have had a period in between. That would have worked. But instead of using a period, I'm using a comma plus fanboys, which is but, right? So but is the B in fanboys. So search that up, memorize fanboys, you're going to need it. I could also say, I am extremely attractive. That's a standalone sentence. And all the huz love me. Two independent clauses, I can connect them with a comma plus fanboys. So you also have to watch out for comma splices, which is when you try to connect two independent clauses with just a comma and no fanboys. So London is a very old city. It has some extremely modern parts. These are two independent sentences, right? They could stand alone, but you're connecting them with a comma. Instead, you would say London is a very old city and it has some extremely modern parts. So you have the comma. When you add the end, which is the A in fanboys, it now works instead of being incorrect. You could also have a period in between. Down here, London and Paris are two of the world's most popular cities. They are visited by millions of tourists every year. You could have said London and Paris are two of the world's most popular cities, and they're visited by millions of tourists every year. You could have also had a period in between, but just don't try to connect two independent clauses with a comma, and you're going to notice this as the wrong answer choice on a lot of SAT grammar questions. We also need to talk about commas and dependent clauses. So a comma can be used to connect an independent clause with a dependent clause. Because I am so attractive, huz from around the world want me. You notice how I said because I am so attractive and then paused? So if you're used to speaking English, you're going to have that natural pause where there should be a comma, and that's why this is incorrect because there is no comma. So if you want the grammatically correct version, it would be because I am so attractive, huz from around the world want me, right? You're reading it the same either way, and that tells you there needs to be a comma. Now, because I am so attractive, could that be a standalone sentence? No, because you're expecting me to explain why I'm so attractive, so this doesn't work as a standalone sentence, which is why it's a dependent clause. Huz from around the world want me. That's the independent clause because it could work as a standalone sentence. So we have a dependent clause, an independent clause, and a comma that connects them. And if you're used to just reading English, your brain is automatically going to tell you where there should be a comma. Although London is a very old city, it has many modern buildings. You see how I had a pause here after city? So that's why, because although London is a very old city, that is a dependent clause. It has many modern buildings. That's an independent clause. So I should connect them with a comma. Although London is a very old city, it has many modern buildings. That's how you use the comma to connect an independent clause with a dependent clause. I also want to quickly talk about transitional words and phrases. There's really three types of transitional words. You have contenuers, cause and effect, and contradictors. So contenuers are going to be things like in addition, moreover, in fact. So I say, PrepHub is a great channel. In addition, it has 2,500 subscribers. Or in addition, it helps a lot of people, right? You're just adding information. Cause and effect. PrepHub has 2,500 subscribers. Therefore, they've helped a lot of people. That's how we use the cause and effect, right? They have a lot of subscribers. That's why they've been able to help a lot of people. Then you have contradictors. PrepHub is a small channel. Nevertheless, they've helped a lot of people. So maybe you're saying that, okay, our channel is small, but still we've helped a lot of people. So you're contradicting that. And you're kind of drawing a contrast, right? And so those are the three types of transitional words and phrases, and you're going to need to know those for certain questions on the SAT. All right, I have to talk about apostrophes because a lot of people get this wrong, and the main difference in them is plural versus possessive. So there, and there, they all sound the same, right? What's the difference? Well, when I say there at the top, this is saying they are. So when I have that apostrophe, this is saying they are. PrepHub is a great channel. They're super good to watch. They're super fun to watch. They are super fun to watch. Now, their is saying possession, right? Whose bicycle is this? That's their bicycle. That's their scooter. That's their YouTube channel, right? Whose? It's theirs. And then this there is saying location. Over where? Over there. Where's my bicycle? Oh, it's over there. Where's the school? It's over there, right? Now, whose and whose, again, they sound the same. What's the difference? Who's like this is saying who is. Who's ready for dinner? Who is ready for dinner? Who's excited for dinner? Who is excited for dinner, right? When I say who's like this, I'm again saying possession. Whose bicycle is that? Whose YouTube channel is that, right? Now here, all of these are showing possession, but people sometimes get confused. So when I'm saying cells like this, I'm saying, oh, well, that's the cell's mitochondria. I'm showing possession. So there's a singular cell, there's one cell, and this is their mitochondria. It's the cell's mitochondria, so I'm showing possession. But if I say cells like this, I'm still saying the mitochondria of the cells, but instead of having a singular cell, I'm saying there are multiple cells, and this is their mitochondria. So there's multiple cells, or there's multiple homes, this is their mitochondria, right? Again, with dresses like this, I'm saying there are multiple dresses, and I'll say, oh, the dress's color. Maybe there's 5 dresses, they all have the same color. When I say dresses like this, I'm saying, oh, that dress's color is very good. I'm talking about singular, but here I'm talking about multiple. In both cases, I'm talking about possession. And then it's and its, right? It's with an apostrophe is it is. It's a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. It's like this without the apostrophe showing possession, right? Its color. That I really love that dress. Its color is amazing. I really love PrepHub. Its YouTube videos are so good, right? That's showing possession. All right, the last rule that I have to talk about because this comes up a bunch on the SAT is dangling modifiers. And this is often the wrong answer for a lot of SAT grammar questions. Basically, what you need to know is you have the modifier, which is describing whatever comes immediately after. So, founded to help students with SAT prep, Prithviraj made PrepHub. To a lot of people, this still sounds correct, but here's the issue. Our modifier is founded to help students with SAT prep. So whatever comes after the comma has to be making sense with this modifier. So was Prithviraj founded to help students with SAT prep? No, right? I wasn't founded, I was born, right? I'm not a YouTube channel. So instead what you would say is founded to help students with SAT prep. PrepHub has changed the world, which it obviously has, right? So what was founded to help students with SAT prep? PrepHub. Prithviraj was not founded to help students with SAT prep. Another one, easily attracting all the huzz, you are admired everywhere you go. This is an obvious mistake because whatever comes after the modifier has to be making sense with the modifier, right? So do you easily attract all the huzz? Obviously not, right? That's not true. So instead you would say easily attracting all the huzz, I am admired everywhere I go. This makes sense because the modifier correctly describes the subject immediately after the comma, which it does not in this case, and it does in this case, right? So those are dangling modifiers. All right, guys, thank you so much for sticking around until the end. I'm now going to urge you to hop off YouTube and check out prephubtp.com. This test is super important for your college admissions, so check out the website that we just released. There's 30 free premium questions for y'all to try out, and every question I used in today's video was from that website. So thank you so much for watching, and comment below if you have any questions.